Hi, hello, good morning, happy spooky morning, Doodle Crew friends. We're here, we're back. We're coming to you early in the morning for me, normal human hours for Nicole. But we're happy to be here. We're gonna do some fun inky black, some ink wash. So I have decided to go digital with mine because I am a wimp and I wimped out. I was gonna do traditional, but I wimped out. So I owe y'all an actual painted version of this at some point. But I'm going to try and, as best I can, mimic the ink and paint abilities of my Clip Studio Paint program. But Nicole, you're actually doing traditional. Tell us all about it and
Yes,
tell
I
us about
am.
you.
Well, first of all, I'm Mayor Squish. You can find me on the internet at Mayor Squish. But yeah, I'm doing ink. I bought ink, which is
Yay.
exciting. So I'm mixing these two. The one is like a very blue black kind of color, and the other one is a very, I guess, vibrant is the word,
Yeah.
brown. It's a very saturated brown. That's what I was looking for.
Ah,
So I'm going to be
pigmented.
mixing those. Yes, pigmented. Well, not just pigmented, but like, I don't know, there's a certain
Yeah. I think
saturation to
saturation
it,
is
I
good.
guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good word.
But yeah, so I'm gonna mix these and make some spooky colors.
Yay! Spooky
So
friends! I'm so
yes.
excited.
And then
Yeah.
potentially some cute monsters.
Yes. Also, Puppers in Ghost costume is one of my favorites. I own
Yes.
a Mayor Squish original with Ghost Puppers,
Yeah,
and
you do.
it's in my pile of all my things that need to get framed and then actually put up on my walls because I have walls to put art on now. So, yeah, excited. And hey, if you have other questions about Doodle Crew, you can follow us at Doodle Crew Draw across the internet. We post episode art on our Instagram and our Facebook. We advertise on our Twitter. You can contact us anywhere there. Episodes go up on my YouTube every Friday, as long as I have an episode to post. And you can follow me across the internet at a swan named Emily. There you go. There's my spiel. There's my spiel. Hey, yeah, there's my YouTube. I am 2 subscribers away from being able to change my link name. I'm excited. So, if you've not subscribed, please pop over and subscribe. There's other fun stuff I'm hoping to post there. Yeah, October is still a little bit crazy, but I'm hoping by like November, December, things will calm down and I could get into a more consistent art schedule. Crazy talk. But we'll see. That's my hope. So are you going traditional paintbrush or are you actually doing like dip pen and ink or
Something is going robot-y on my end. Give me a
yeah, you
second.
got okay.
How about that?
You're good now.
Okay, we were talking about technical difficulties earlier.
I know it. Again, I like that it waited. It waited until we were actually live to be like, no robots.
Always. Always. So what was your question? I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. When you didn't immediately respond and like I saw your camera like chug, I was like, oh no, oh no, we lost her. Is if you were gonna use paintbrush or if you were gonna go like quill, pen and ink.
So, I think I'm going to use a paintbrush just to do like the washy part and the fun watercolory type stuff.
Yeah.
I do have a pen, a calligraphy pen.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
However, I noticed that it wasn't working before the show.
Oh,
So I
oh.
think the ink is either empty or dried up. So we'll see if I can fix it on stream. We'll see.
I feel that so much.
Everything's great today.
I think if I was making traditional art every day and had a setup where I was rotating through my supplies, I don't think it would be as much of a surprise at times, but because I am infrequently doing traditional art anymore, like I definitely have the one, let me find this because I don't know where I put everything, and two, like I hope my paints are still good. I hope my stuff is still gonna work because I don't know. Good morning, Kurt. Hello, hello. Mm-mm. We're doing well. We are experiencing the expected amount of technical difficulties, so enjoying that. Nope. I think there might, dare I say, be a little bit of sun peeking out. It was super gray and sad for most of this morning.
But it's supposed to be gray and sad. It's October.
True. Yeah, I was telling somebody, good morning, Two Dorks TV. Hello, hello.
Oh my gosh, hello.
Wow, welcome to Inky Black. We're doing some fun. Nicole's doing fun traditional ink wash. I'm going to work on some digital ink wash, making some fun spooky Halloween art. Yeah, I was telling a person at the studio yesterday, I was like, no, we've entered into like peak my season. Like this is where all my clothes are for. Like this is my ideal. Like it's not cold, it's not winter yet, but like fall, I was like, yes, I'm at my most powerful right now before I then want to go into hibernation and never leave my house. Okay. Oh, maybe we'll do one right here. That'll work. I was bad and I did not plan my composition before stream, so you're watching me figure it out. Make it a little bit darker so you can just see what I'm doing beforehand. But my goal is to try and emulate some of the fun aspects of traditional art and traditional medium, words, in my digital space. I just want to draw some drippy candles. Oh, wrong. Soapbox Clubs, hello! Oh my gosh, the gang's all here. I've missed you. You get spoiled having both you and Mayor Squish in the stream.
I know.
It's been forever. Yeah. How's October going for everybody in chat? Are you getting to do all of your desired spooky things? As Nicole and I were lamenting, I have not gotten to put up, I have not put up any of my Halloween decorations or anything.
Same here.
Yet. And I'm sad about it. And I've decided that I'm just going to extend my Halloween into November, and people are just going to have to deal with it. I think weight's going to be on that arm. All right. Oh, yes. Two Darks TV, I feel you. Yeah, we're getting up, getting rolling. This was a good reason to get up and get moving, but whew, yeah. I was definitely had to talk myself into it a little bit this morning.
My camera is laggy. I love it. It's great.
It's my favorite. Well, I'm sorry your foot wasn't feeling good, but hey, you know what? Some days just taking a day off, it's needed. That's not a bad thing. Yeah. Vineyard Warrior has a little one, and I think like anything Halloween-y and everything related is always that much more exciting and fun when you've got a little one who's ready for it. But overall, Soapbox's work going okay for you? I mean, again, like everything, it's work, but good. All right. Hey, I'm gonna save this. Especially before I start going in with like all my heavy like texture paintbrushes that make my program chug. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? I like it. All right. That's this one. All right, so I think that's gonna be my liner. So I think we're gonna go in with. It has been so long. That's what I was saying to Nicole. I was like, I feel like I haven't gotten to see you or chat with you in forever. Is that as dark as you're gonna get? Brush size, amount of paint. Oh, it's because, hey, guess what? I'm drawing on the wrong layer. There it is. Things are good. Things are busy. All of my teaching classes opened this fall. So I've been teaching a whole bunch. I've got art classes, and for the first time in, there we go. That's actually black. For the first time in 2.5 years, I'm actually teaching social dance swing again. So that's been very exciting to have that back. I've got an adorable class. Yeah, we're doing the story ballet again this year. So again, first time in a couple of years. So a lot of stuff that would have normally been happening for me in previous years is actually happening. So that's kind of nice. It feels like a nice return to some normalcy. Yeah. Yeah, I think the big thing was from this like summer season, we had been commissioned, I guess, hired. I don't know. There was a mural that was going to be something that we worked on in July, but then with schedules and everything that didn't happen, so we ended up painting that all through September. So that was kind of my big like September. Yeah, that's where a lot of September went. Can't keep track of time. What do you do? Okay, so you're a little. All right. I'm getting it. I'm figuring it out. Let's try the question. I want that one. Yeah, so it felt good to get that finished and checked off. I think the biggest thing is just because with conventions and everything, there hasn't been a consistency to my schedule. So I'm looking forward to hopefully over the winter months having just a little bit more like, these are how my days go and they're consistent week to week. So I could actually get some bigger projects done of my own projects, not just projects for other people. Yeah. I feel bad. I feel like the answer to how you've been is, I've been working. That's what I've got. So part of what's cool about the way that the program interprets like traditional art is you do get a certain amount of like blending that you can do with the lines that are already down. But what it means is that I pretty much have to work on just one layer, which is always, we'll say it's very counter to how I normally work in digital art. So that's a fun challenge.
I like it though. I'm really excited to see how yours is gonna look.
Thank you. I'm also trying really hard to not use the eraser tool to do that. If I want to go in and change something, that I do it with another color ink. Is the plan. We'll see how I do. Yay. Little fur friend. Yes, my little fur friend was in here earlier being adorable and possibly causing mayhem. Oh, okay. Hang on. Let me change my sketch real quick. This bottom space had been bothering me, so I think I figure out something to... She is an agent of chaos. Yes. I did realize though, I think part of it is because we're home together a fair amount, at least for some of the days, because I don't usually teach until the evenings. But like I talk to her a little bit, but I don't talk a ton when I'm home. So I think there's something about like when I go on stream and start talking, like She's like, oh, something's happening, so I should go do stuff. I don't think that's how I handled that. I guess so. Well, it's funny. Yesterday, I worked on the computer a whole bunch, and then my mom and my sister popped by, and I was talking to them, and I had that moment where, like, because I had been listening to podcasts and different stuff, like, as I was talking to them, like, I had this surreal thing, and I'm like, wait, is that the sound of my voice? I was like, have I really not said anything for the past, like, 8 hours? So I was like, oh boy. It's good that I'm going outside and seeing people, because it's getting a little spooky. She's a sweet baby. She's been very snuggly lately, which I have greatly appreciated. So it's been lovely. Okay, that's good. To indicate like a curtain. We'll see. Mm-hmm. Oh, pumpkin friend.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I added some color.
I like it. I like it.
There's some very interesting separation going on.
With the mixed black and brown?
Yes, with the pigments.
Interesting.
It's funny because I used the black one just straight out of the bottle, and it looks like there's actually some yellow in there, which separates like right around here.
Weird.
Which is very fascinating. Yeah, I don't know.
Unexpected.
I don't know. It's cool though, it makes it spooky.
Yeah. That's the only problem with I would say when I work traditionally and then as I'm trying to replicate that digitally is I'm definitely like thinking a lot harder, so I'm not talking as much.
Yeah, same.
So chat, I apologize. I put on some spooky background music, so I've got like fun lo-fi stuff happening in my earphones. So I forget. So I apologize. So chat, if you have questions, let us know. Because other than that, you're pretty much just going to get to watch us work. So one thing I'm not sure how to do is to bring in an additional like desktop audio, because I know it's playing, it is in my OBS, but it didn't get brought into StreamYard. So
I think okay, let me think. So I think you may have selected just your regular microphone as your input in what's it called? StreamYard?
StreamYard.
Yes. So I think maybe you could select your OBS.
OBS?
But then we would probably get flagged.
Right. I was going to say, it's definitely going to... can you do OBS mic? All right, that's my mic. Hold on, speaker. Interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say the music that I'm listening to is mostly non-lyric, but it's not the copyright-free stuff I usually play. So, chat, it's up to you. It's up to you to have some of your own music playing. Because while I'm not worried about it not being viewable as a VOD, I don't want it to get flagged on YouTube. Ugh. Puppers.
Heck yeah.
So
Yeah, I
cute.
like it.
I love it.
I like that candle.
Thank you. I'm definitely
Very
finding
pretty.
like some things are working really well. Other things are like, why can't I paint? So I switched over to, the pointillism brush because I was having a little bit of trouble with the gouache brush. I had to put a lot of pen pressure down on it to get it to give me a solid painted color, which was fine, but it was making it hard to blend. So this one I can work a little bit lighter. It's much more textured, but it definitely lets me blend a little bit easier. So, but thank you.
It's interesting because it does remind me of watercolor a little bit. That brush.
Yeah. The
With that
pointillism one's
bloom.
interesting. Like it's got neat. Like that's the. Can you see? Like that's what the brush itself is doing. Yeah, it's weird. But yeah. Also, I have to keep reminding myself that there's a lot of like, and this happens when I traditionally paint as well. Like, there's a good chunk of time where it looks ugly. You're like, this is not.
Yep.
But just have to keep going because it will get better. But sometimes that part can be tricky. And I was noticing too, and I think I will absolutely admit that some of this I think is my lack of control of the medium, but I was running into everything that I was painting was starting to feel like the same texture. Like it was just kind of like smoothed, which works for, what I wanted on like a soft comforter, but it's not the same texture I wanted for like his shirt. So I wanted a different brush that was going to let me kind of have a little bit more control so I could make it feel different.
It's really interesting. The water jar that I'm using now has purple water in it for some reason, even though I'm using black and brown. It's just, this whole thing is very interesting. Yeah, it's kind of
Oh my
purple.
goodness. Yeah.
I don't know how that happened, but it's okay,
That's
I guess.
so funny. Not what I wanted. Get it. Wah! Now go back. Hooray! All of the grapes are picked.
Yeah.
That is exciting. Because the temperature has been cooperating, but the rain has definitely been threatening to cause trouble. It's funny, as you were talking about picking up different pigments, I'm primarily trying to stay on completely grayscale side of things, but definitely if I slide the slider over a little bit more, there's a couple of these where the gray started to pick up ever so slight of a pink tone. There's a couple spots where there's a little bit more of a yellow tone, which is funny.
See, sometimes I wish I knew more about color theory. And I'd be like, yeah, this is why this happens. Duh. But
every
I'm
time.
not that person.
Every time I wish I knew more about color theory. Yeah, I was coloring yesterday and I was just like, why am I so bad at this? And I know, everything, it's all practice and stuff, but it's definitely one of those where it's one of the few times where I feel like I understand the concept so well. I was like, no, I get it. It makes sense. I just can't actually apply it to what I'm doing in a successful way, which is infuriating. Wow. That's crazy. So Vineyard Warrior says it's the earliest we've been done with harvest in the 16 years he's been there. Do you think that's because we had such lower yield on so many varietals? Lower yield and everything buried at the same time for the most part. Yeah. Vineyard Warrior worked an 80-hour work week last week, like an insane person. So, yeah, I was going to say, it certainly didn't go faster because you had a lot of extra help this year. That was not it. Yeah, it was an interesting growing year for the grapes. So for those who may not know, he works there full time. I work there part time, but both Vineyard Warrior and I work at a winery in the Finger Lakes. So we're talking about grapes that will eventually be made into wine. That's interesting. Yeah, it's what we were hoping for. So it sounds like the quality of it is going to be fantastic because it was a good growing year. Just there's not going to be a ton of it. So. Oh my goodness, look at the little ghost face.
I know.
It's so angry.
He's practicing.
Oh. I love
Yeah, that's a mirror. Though I don't think he can see himself in the mirror. I didn't think that through.
Well, if he's wearing the sheet, is he wearing the sheet? Because the sheet would show up, right?
Just well, yeah. Him. But are ghosts... I don't know.
Do they come with the
sheet?
Are
ghosts wearing sheets, or
now we're getting into the
like
really
wearing a sheet?
Nitty gritty of it.
Yeah, the ghost lore.
Also, I'm laughing to myself because I'm pretty sure this is the longest I've spent in a long time futzing with the background and not working on the characters. To me, oh hey, that's not the right brush. It's a good brush, but it's not the right brush. Excuse me. So funny. Super zoomed out. I really like a lot of it. Zoomed in, working on the details. It's making me crazy.
Yeah, I feel that. But you gotta see the bigger picture.
Yes, it's good. It's important. Also, I love how the bottom left one. I mean, I love how they all turned out, but I love the way it's glowing off the page. That looks so cool.
Thank you. I'm really liking these inks.
Yay! Now, how do they compare to how like watercolor regular reacts?
So they're a lot more pigmented, for sure. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like the general like bloom and stuff, it's very, very similar.
Okay.
Obviously, it's in liquid form. With watercolor, you either get like a pan or like a tube, like a thicker kind of paint.
Yeah.
And this is just like straight up liquid, like an ink would be.
Right.
Because, I mean, technically this does say liquid watercolor, but also you can use it with a pen. So it is an ink. I don't know. The lines are very blurry.
I was gonna say they definitely took the you mixing in your water and having control of that part out. But you can then still utilize techniques of putting more or less water down.
I will say that they're more, I guess, reactive. So like they reactivate a lot faster than regular watercolor would.
Interesting.
So you really gotta be careful if you're doing line art with it because. But yeah, I like them.
Yay. We're going to put some texture in there, but we're not going to fight with that because it's pulling focus away from where I want. So. Okay, I got to run and grab something real quick. I will be right back.
I agree. I'm sure there is some sort of program or something that can do some of that, but obviously like the tactile experience is not the same.
right. Well, and I know, so one of the big reasons when I was selecting which tablet I was going to go with was listening to artists talk about how it felt to draw on the surface of it. And I'm looking into investing in an iPad to work on Procreate. And what I'm seeing is a lot of people talk about the screen cover that's the like sketch paper texture one. And I was like, because that's my big issue right now is I work on an iPad when I teach digital art, and I hate how slippery it is. It definitely, like, this tablet I have at home is like the perfect amount of tension on my pen that I get to draw as close to as drawing on paper as I can get in a digital sense. But yeah, no, the slippery iPad, I'm just like, I'm so stressed.
I know. I think that was part of the issues I was having in the beginning, because I was just like, I don't know, slipping all over the place. It was
Yeah.
really bad. Like there was no, I don't know, no friction, I guess.
Not enough.
And like,
because
yeah, like the silicone tip itself is also just not, it's not gritty, you know? Like both of the things are slippery, and then yeah, it's just not good. But yeah, I also have the I think it's called Paper-like. It helps. It definitely helps.
Yeah, no, that was one where, because it was a big concern of mine, because I'm just like, no, like if I'm going to be constantly frustrated, I don't need it. I have a tablet that works amazing, you know, I can do it. But my big thing is, one, I want something that's a little bit more portable so that I can work outside of my computer room and just like sit on the couch and doodle and stuff, but also to have the ability to take it with me to teach and have all of my examples set on a system that I own. So I was like, I need something that's not going to drive me absolutely insane as I work on it. I mean, it might for different reasons, but not for just the main reason of it feels weird when I try and draw on it. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. There was a guy, an artist I really like. I first saw his stuff on TikTok, but then I've gone on to follow him in other places, and I think I saved the video because I wasn't in a spot where I could actually watch it the other day. But he is primarily a watercolor artist, and he was talking about how he was trying to find a digital program that felt anywhere near like it. And he mentioned one, and I wanted to check it out to see, you know, how it reacted and how it actually felt. Do I have a? Yeah.
She looks very creepy right now.
Yay! I want her to be beautiful, but also be, yeah. The first the first part when I was doing the fangs, I think I still need to reshape them a little bit because they're looking like the Count from Sesame Street fangs. I'm like, it's not quite what I'm going for. Not quite, but yeah. It's fun. It's already different from how I was seeing it in my brain, but I'm liking it. I'm like,
yeah, it looks
getting
good.
there. Also, I was really excited. I like how this blanket turned out, and now I'm just too afraid to touch it again. I'm just like, no, I actually like it. Like, it looks cool. Okay, I'm ignoring it now. But the big thing I was running into, and I'll work back into this spot. The nice thing about painting is you can jump around the canvas, but I want his shirt to look like it is bunched here, but what it was looking, because I was getting such a smooth finish from that one brush, it was just looking like bunched skin or just nothing. So I want to get back into that and actually make it feel more like a fabric texture, different from like this. I almost feel like the comforter has like a fleecy texture to it.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. It looks floofy.
Yeah. So I think that's been, and honestly, I don't think it's the brushes. I think it's the artist. But I want to try and get those different textures very clearly. But it's good. It's important. It's important that I do this because I never do this on my own. So
Yeah.
yeah. And I have to believe that because a lot of the skills and the mindset of it are similar, that practicing in one sense will make it translate to another sense. Like I genuinely believe that if you are working digitally and then you switch over to traditional, that some of the stuff you've been working on will translate as well. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay. I actually have to draw this hand and figure out what it's doing. It was cute. We were working on hands yesterday in class, and I was breaking them down how I usually do it. Like, it was definitely clicking for the kiddos, but there were a couple of times where in order to demonstrate how it would look at the end, I finished it, and they're just like, "How did you do that? We didn't follow." I was like, "Guys, it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna talk through it." So they're very funny because hands are tough.
They really are.
And I feel bad because there was definitely some, you could tell there was some frustration and stuff like that. So we were switching it up and trying to find, different positions and different stuff to kind of counteract that. But, they, as much as they were incredibly hard on themselves, they really did end up with some nice sketches. So. Okay. Well, she might be an imaginary creature. I would like her anatomy to actually work. So we're an hour and a half in. We got about another hour to go, but I've definitely like, I need it said out loud that it was up until about like 20 minutes ago when this was finally starting to be like, okay, I kind of like how parts of this are looking. Like, that ugly stage is a long one.
It's difficult to not just throw in the towel sometimes.
Yup. Oh my gosh, the first couple, because I originally had wanted like curtains in this upper right spot over here, and like that's what I started with, and they were not going well, and I was having trouble getting the like dripped candle wax to kind of look the shapes that I want, and I'm just like, none of these things are working. So yeah, but like,
it does
I'm
kind of
happy.
look like curtains though in the background.
Yeah, go figure. I went in and just colored it over and then just did a couple of quick things, and I was like, that looks better than the ones when I was trying. I was like, all right, whatever. But like, I'm happy because it kind of looks like this candelabra that's on a stand. Like, there's a little bit of ruching in, you know, the tablecloth that's there.
Yeah.
Like, but you know, in comparison to the pillow, which right now kind of just still looks like a cartoon pillow. So it's an interesting balance, but whew, man, you really gotta hold tight. It just, yeah. It will break you if you let it. I feel like that should just be the motto of art. Not motto, but whatever that word
You're
is.
not wrong.
It will break you if you let it. Mm-hmm. Oh, I was thinking too. I'm sorry, my brain. You know, this is nothing new for you. You've spent enough time with me. No, I was thinking like, if it's so if he's got, the little ghost has got like the mirror, but then there's like an old photo of like somebody like making a scary face, and he's like trying to like match the photo on it. Like,
Yeah. I might make him a character.
I like
and
him.
Make like a comic or something.
Yeah. Even those little like single panel, you know, he's having a moment type thing are fun.
I kind of feel like he would be like maybe like, I don't know, like a teen ghost or something, and he saw his parents like on the job and now he wants to be like his parents.
Aww.
I know.
Yes, I love him. Also, I love the contrast between the top three, which have a very like youthful, energetic, cartoony feel, and then the bottom ones that are just all vibes.
Yes.
Like, I'm getting like moon through the fog and the mist and the clouds in the bottom middle. Like, all of the great vibes.
Yeah, I wanted to play around with some of the blooming because there's so much pigment. Like it's quite an effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I wanted to see if I can get that yellow to come out, and it is there in both of them. So that kind of makes me think that it comes from the black, which doesn't make sense. But yeah, whatever. We talked about this.
Yeah. No, that it's like, it's giving me, you know, you're your headlights are driving through and the fog is so heavy that you just can't see. Like, mwah, I love it. It's funny to me too, because we had talked, I think before we'd gone live, and I was, kind of describing what I was planning. And I think because of the painterly nature of it, I've pulled back from going like heavy blacks like I was planning. Like I have a graphic image of this in my head where it's very harsh lines and like full black. Whereas I'm noticing now I'm being a little bit more precious with my heavy blacks to really like push and pull like what stuff is like. I really wanted this shadow behind her cheek to be the hair and have that really pull away. But I'm definitely using like a lot lighter tones in some of the other spots because I want to save that heavy black for other parts. So it's been interesting.
Yes. I like it a lot.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm liking it a lot more now. Like I said, it took a while, but we're getting there. Also, these are going to be the most basic ass candelabras because I don't have it in my brain to design anything cooler. So I'm sorry. And I don't know if you have found this, but I've definitely noticed, times where I'm working in either a medium or kind of a skill set that I'm not used to. And my default is then to try and kind of mimic somebody else and something else that I've seen or a tutorial that I've watched. And I've definitely found like, if I also try and like remember to incorporate my own, like how I would actually do this, like I'm going in and I'm kind of just outlining the wax like I normally would in my regular stuff. I was like, oh, I like that because now I can still build up. But like it was kind of blending what I normally do and not just trying to disregard all of that. I don't know if that whole thing made sense, but it's been an interesting.
I get you. I wouldn't have phrased it any better. But yes,
I was like, that's thing. But because I didn't want to cartoony this. I didn't want to just black outline everything like I normally would. But it's definitely, I'm finding a home kind of in my still getting to use the style that I like and I'm good at, along with some of these new techniques that I'm trying. So.
I really like his old-timey hair.
Yeah.
It's very random, but I like it.
Yeah. I wanted him to be vaguely Regency era. And of course, because he is modest, he still has his shirt on because he was reading in bed. Yeah. It's definitely like texture is fun, but it is challenging. But like I said, I don't know if I would be any better at it if I was doing it fully traditionally. Give him some honkin' sideburns. Well, I know we've talked about this, whether it was with a Doodle Crew stream or one of our watercolor Swan and Squish streams that we did. You know, it was kind of this assumption that if you are working in certain mediums, it has to be done a certain way, and like you can't deviate from that. But I was like, honestly, if I had painted this normally and I wanted finer lines on some of this, I would just go in with a Posca paint marker and I would line it that way. Like, you can do that. It's okay. It's not against the rules. So it's kind of a fun it's been a whole fun mental adventure for me today, is really what I'm saying. Thought experiment. That's the words. Hey man, by noon, my brain is going to be fully on it. I'm pretty excited.
So, are you going to keep it black and white?
Yes.
Because, okay. Hear me out.
Yes.
I like the black and white. I'm a big fan of the black and white. But if you wanted to do a second version, you could make like a second or like one layer on top of it and just add the colors just the way they are, and then like have it set like really. Wow, I'm not better at words. Yes, set it to very low opacity so that everything's just like barely colored. I think that could look really cool too.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of me is like so many things, I'm afraid of ruining it. But I thought, as we were talking about like the yellow tones, like if there was just a little bit of yellow coming out of some of the candles and like bouncing off of parts of them, I'm not opposed to it. Because I think it'd be a fun, it stands alone on it as black and white. Like it's fine that way, but to see if I could, enhance it a little bit. Enhance. So I gotta fix her fangs too at some point. They look so comical. Yeah. Again, it's so funny. Like now that things are working more like how I want them to, I'm just like, oh, I could do this and I could do this. Whereas before I'm just like, I can't do anything. I want this guy.
So I know you haven't filled in like the back part of the pillow, but it kind of looks like it's her hand just using magic on him or something. Because of like just the whiteness. It just looks like magic. It's funny.
Magic. I like it. Again, it's funny. Out of everything, all of my frustrations more came from my ability to apply paint. But like, it's funny because I'm like, oh no, like layout wise and composition wise, I was like, I'm pretty happy with it. But that's not the part that I struggle with. And something else I know we've talked about before is, there are times where if you are busy or if you're working as a professional artist or even just working professionally, like it can be hard to just sit and make an indulgent painting where you're just like, I'm just doing this for fun because this is what I want to draw right now. I think especially with something that takes more time. So I'm absolutely cracking up because this is the time where in my painting I should be using a ruler, but I never do. But here in digital space, I can actually make those lines straight.
There's so many advantages of digital art that I wish I had in traditional. An undo button.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy. An eraser sometimes for my watercolors.
Yep. Especially watercolor. Like I feel like if I was doing this in gouache or acrylic or anything, like, nope, just paint over it again if I mess it up. But yeah, there's that permanence to watercolor.
Yeah.
I feel like it's fun too. One, with it, being spooky, and two, with just lighting in general. Like with this being a candlelit scene, you can kind of play with, the glow of a pumpkin or the glow of the moon. Like you get these kind of interesting diffused lighting scenarios, which you can kind of play with in different ways than just like a spotlight or a regular overhead light or the sun.
Lighting is the other thing that I struggle with, though. Like, it's just my brain cannot fathom.
I need reference more often than I use it, and that's to my own detriment. Sometimes out of laziness, sometimes out of I don't have time to actually like set up a shot and light this myself. I also don't have the equipment to do it, and I can't find a photo reference of it. I feel more confident in that than I do in my color theory, but it's not by much. I do a lot of generic ass lighting. What I need to force myself to do is like, the kind of lay it out like you have it there and just do like a single character and practice lighting them. Like, okay, here's hard light from this side, here's this, and just pull up those references and like, here's how you do rim lighting, which I always try and do and always fail. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should also practice more. It's those things, we don't have time for.
So what I need to start doing is incorporating it into my lessons that I teach the kids, but it's tough. It's tough to be learning something as you are trying to teach it. That's not a place I like to be. I don't mind, like, hey, I'm not sure how this works, like, let's experiment together. But if I'm trying to instruct them how to do something, it's hard to be like, I am also learning. Got big old pecs, I think, and I went a little Henry Cavill with them. Tone them down a little bit. Are you finished?
I'm trying to decide if I should add anything else, but much like you, I'm afraid to ruin it. So.
I don't want to touch it and break it. As I say, we can wrap up. I can let my brain rest. It's fun. It definitely it makes me that much more impressed by digital painters who can paint so quickly. because I was like flatting in and doing like cell shaded colors. I was like, no, I could have finished this in our 2-hour time frame. But yeah, the painting of it definitely takes me, and just painting in general takes me way longer. Fix the fangs. Yeah, not with that brush, I'm not gonna. Usually see. I don't think I need necessarily my sketch layer anymore. That's a nice thing too, is not having to try and navigate like where my sketch is, or worrying about leaving like pencil lines. Where's that? Mm-hmm. Where are you? There you are. It's interesting. It's the gouache blender, which kind of lets, like, it's still pulling up the paint essentially that's there, but so it's not just straight like blend tool blending. So it's an interesting, like, it feels more like the paint is ever so slightly wet and I'm just getting to pull like a little bit of it up.
I like that.
Yeah.
I want to
nice,
do more with gouache, but it's difficult.
Yeah, my buddy Andre bought a gouache set, and when he came to visit, I got to noodle with it a little bit, and I started, and it's fun. It definitely, like, it's similar enough to watercolor, and it's similar enough to acrylic, but there's still like there's little moments where even though you can kind of pull it back up and rework it, like it still does kind of have a watercolor aspect to it. So it's interesting. But yeah, I like it. Again, I need to actually give myself time to just paint for fun and practice.
We should do a gouache stream.
We should.
I feel like we've been saying that for a year.
Yeah. Well, I also feel like things got particularly busy for both of us, and yeah. Yeah. I just need to get, like we were talking about earlier, my camera set so I could actually do some traditional stuff. Now. just gotta figure out just how, like, evil I want to make her. Go full Sarah Jessica Parker crazy eyebrow makeup like they did in Hocus Pocus. Did you end up watching the second one? Or actually, have you watched the first one?
No, not yet. I watched the first one last year, I think.
Okay.
I know I'm late on it, but
Oh no, you're good. We were talking about it on the podcast recently, because I was talking about like go-to movies, and I am very aware that one is that one I watch for the nostalgia of it because it makes me laugh. I don't watch that one because objectively I think it's a good movie, because it's not. It's a Disney Channel movie.
It's not.
Like,
it's fun, but it's not good.
No. There are parts of it that are really enjoyable, and there are parts of it where I'm like, I can get up and go make food right now, and I'm not going to miss anything.
Whereas, it was the same with Halloween Town.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like a bunch of people have been raving. Well, a lot of people like that series, but I was just like, this is really bad. Like, it's funny bad, but still.
Yeah, that one I never watched, so that one lives in like, nope, this is kiddo nostalgia. Whereas, you know, I feel like something like Nightmare Before Christmas is, I'm like, no, it's objectively good. Like, it's a good movie.
Yep.
With great songs. So, okay. All right. I'm going to stop futzing for now. But, I might have to change that a little bit because it kind of looks like the candelabra's coming out of her hand. All right. I lied. One more thing and then I'm going to stop.
Yeah, Paul says Halloween Town is excruciatingly bad. Yeah, I think we only watched the first one, but I think there's like 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like that one definitely had some longevity to it. I know I see the lead actress from it pops up on my TikTok all the time, and she seems super fun. But yeah, again, definitely like I missed when this would have hit me, and
it's also like, I know that they're kids and they're not supposed to be great actors, but the acting's not good. It's really bad.
Yeah, that's a little bit better. All right. Okay, let's make yours big so we can see. Yay! Look at all these friends!
Yeah, so we have the little ghosty practicing in the mirror. Then we have, okay, you can't see this one because I drew it so tiny, but it's a little kitty.
I had missed the kitty before. So cute!
Yeah, a little candy bucket. And then Doggo as a ghost with his little bucket.
Nice little tongue.
I know.
Yeah.
And then the creepy lighting that I went a little overboard with. I kind of wanted it to be less pitch black, but it's not bad. I like it.
I was gonna say, I love it. I think that works so well. Like, those candles look fantastic. Yeah.
Yes.
Love that jack-o'-lantern. Yeah.
Yay. And then 2 where I just kind of played around with the vibes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, though. They're so perfect, like background movie still vibes. Oh, it's so good. They all look so good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yay! Oh, it's so fun. All right, let me switch over so you can see. Let me zoom in a little bit. There you go. It's almost.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. That doesn't help. Oh, yeah. Clearly down here, I have not finished yet. But the goal is to have him, like, he fell asleep reading a book. So there's some of my sketch lines in there. But yeah, it's getting there. We got Goopy Candle. We got Vampy Lady. Got more candles. I'm starting to get into more of the drippy bits. Yeah.
I really like the texture just above the flames in the background, because it kind of looks a little bit like Yeah, up there it kind of looks a little bit. I don't know how to describe it. Like a little bit sooty.
Yeah, I like
I
how
don't
it
know.
diffused.
But
So
good.
that's the dry gouache brush, which I think is cool because that it very much mimicked what it would be like to have not a ton of water and have that brush kind of not leave a full thing of paint. So yeah, I had planned to go in and cover it more, but I really liked how that looked. So yeah,
Yes.
very fun. Learned a bunch. Definitely want to work into this more. And I really like the idea of giving it just little hints of lighting. Nope, color. That's what I meant. It's already lit. I was going to put the color into the lighting, which is why brain is broken. Um, but yeah, this was super fun. I'm so glad we got to do this one. I felt so bad that I had to reschedule because last time I was not feeling great. But yay! Yay. Hey, where can people find you and bully you to do more art with me?
You can find me everywhere at Mayor Squish. And yes, I need to make more art because I've been slacking lately.
Yay. Yeah. Also life.
That too.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to see more of us paint, like I said, we could probably set it up to where we just do not as much of a talky stream and you just get to watch the two of us make art. That's also fun because clearly I can't paint and talk at the same time.
Same.
So there's a lot of brain power here, people. It might not look it or sound it, but it's there. Yeah, you can follow me at a swan named Emily all across the internet. You can follow Doodle Crew at Doodle Crew Draw. If you want to see the artwork, follow us on Instagram or Facebook to see all the art. One of the fellow Doodle Crew artists just rudely called me out for a piece that was from last year. And he's like, wow, that's so old. I'm like, you know what? I'm bad at posting. I don't want to hear it. But all of the art will eventually make it up there. Yeah, and if you want to, you can join our Discord. You can talk to a whole bunch of other fun artsy people. You can hang out and see cool art. And yeah, look at all of these. Look at that. You got fun stuff in there. But thank you. This was a wonderful way to start my morning and hopefully conclude your afternoon. I guess it's afternoon for you.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
it's 5.
Yay! We did it. So yeah, thank you everyone. We'll see you later. Goodbye.
Goodbye.